Hey everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Dallin Wexler with Lifestyle Power Sports. And today we're going to be talking about how to trim down your stock Polaris Axys seat and make it a short, lightweight, easy to jump over seat. This is just a cheap modification. The only thing that you're going to need to buy extra is going to be a seat cover when you're done, if you want to do a seat cover. As far as if you want to buy another one, or you can just cut yours down and put it on and call it good. So we've got a few seats here. We've got a stock seat that we're going to be dealing with. We've got one that's already done, cut down, and has a seat cover on it, and then one that's in the process of it. But we're going to go through kind of the steps of what it takes to do this and show you how easy and simple it is. It does take a little bit of time, but it's not rocket science. Okay, so the main tools that we've got here that we're using for this modification to your seat is a screwdriver, and actually a pair of pliers is good too, but I don't have it right here. But a screwdriver, that's going to make it easy to stick underneath the staples and pop them out to pop your old staples out of your cover on your seat. We've got a saw here, but this jigsaw is going to be really good. It's got a wood blade on it. You can use a metal blade. We're just cutting the plastic with that saw, so that works really well for trimming the plastic off. The grinder here that you can see, this is really good for multiple things. The first thing that it's good for is to kind of smooth out your plastic. After you've cut it with the jigsaw, you can take and smooth and make it a little bit straighter with that grinder. And then this is just an electric knife that's used for cooking and stuff. This is really good for cutting the foam initially, and then you take the saw to smooth it out. So another thing that you might want as well is a permanent marker, or a marker of some sort, so you can write on the plastic of the seat base, as well as so you can write on the actual seat cushion foam itself. So those are kind of the main things that you need for this. And so now let's go over and check out the seats. Alright everyone, so here are the seats that we've got. You can see this one right here is the stock seat, stock length, stock thickness, everything about it stock except the cover was replaced on it, and that's part of the reason that got me started with doing these seat modifications, is because the seat covers were going bad. I needed to get a new seat cover. Some of the foam was kind of breaking out of some of the seats that I've done. And so that's why I decided to do it, is to make use of what I actually had and to create what I actually wanted. So you can see this here is the seat base. This is the stock base. We've actually got over on the ground. You can see this is a messy modification. That's why I've got coveralls right now on, is because of how messy it is, and you might want to do the same. But here we have, this is the extra that we trimmed off. That's how much that you actually trim off, roughly right there. So you can see that we're cutting a fourth of the seat off, to between a fourth and a third of the seat off. So it's a significant amount. This reduces the weight of the seat by a couple pounds, if I remember right. I'll have to double check that, but you can see how much smaller that seat is than stock. You can see kind of the thickness right there of the stock seat compared to how thin this seat is. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we've got going on. Some of the modifications that we're doing to this, we're trimming it off back here, but then also as you flip it over, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but because I've got this cover on, but this plastic sticks past. You can feel how thick that plastic is right there compared to that. This is actually the comparative point right here. But this is about an eighth to a quarter of an inch thinner is what we're cutting off right there. We're leaving the tip of this the same length, just because we want it to still made up to the tank nice and smooth. This is a big part of why we have the seat base, is to be able to keep this tab locked in on your tank, and then it won't slide around. The way that we're attaching these seats, you can see on here, this I pulled it off when it was cold, so a piece of the velcro came off, but you can see some of the Velcro we have on here. Now that we've done this, we actually aren't using this much Velcro anymore. We're using it just in a few key points right here. I believe we have right here on both sides, and then we're just doing this one right here. So we're getting rid of, we don't need that much Velcro from what we found. And then you can see we've got these little buckle strap points, and the other half of that would go to your tank, and we'll show a video of that here in just a second. So that's kind of what we've got here. That's how much we're trimming off. It gives you a pretty good idea. Like I said, really simple mod to make your sled easier to hop over back and forth, or if you're a short person, this is a really good thing to do. One of the key reasons why this seat stays on as good as it does is it locks in the front right here. We've got a few Velcro points that help keep it from slipping around at all, and then we also have these straps that suck that down. So as it's sucked down, the tank actually, the way that it's formed, fits in all of this stuff right here. So it really can only slide just a little bit, and the Velcro, the whole reason we have that is just to keep it from moving the slop, take the slop out of it basically. So here we have this seat that we've smoothed down. You can see it's not 100% perfectly smooth, but it's pretty dang good for what we've got. And you want to make it somewhat smooth. This one was my very first seat. I made it fairly smooth. But I can feel a little bit of lumpiness. This is quite a bit smoother than that. So as you can see, we're not doing anything with the bottom here. What we're doing, we're trimming a little bit of thickness off each side. We're trimming approximately that much off the back here and kind of tapering it up to this front point here, because like I said again, we don't want that to we want that to mate up nicely, and we didn't take anything off of the front tip of this actual plastic. So that's why we're just tapering it, and then we are taking off a significant chunk of foam right back here, and it's actually right here. You can see this is a significant amount of foam that we are removing from this, and this gives you an idea of that's right where that would sit. So you can see how much we're taking off the top. We're taking a little bit off the sides, but not a whole lot, but that gives you an idea. And what I'm doing is I'm marking out on the seat kind of where I want to cut, along with on the bottom here. I left just a little bit on the other side of my line, and it ended up matching up perfectly. So we've got this seat. We'll just sit right on there like that. You won't even notice the base. And then we found a company that can make us a seat cover for relatively inexpensive. You are going to see on the back like this that is leaving those holes just the way that the seat is formed on there. Once you get finished with that, it actually doesn't look bad at all. And so you can see that's what it looks like right there. You can't even see the little circle form marks inside there just because the seat cover covers that. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started and show you how to take this seat apart. To begin with, use your screwdriver to stick underneath the fabric and the staples to pop the staples up and work your way around the seat. Next, grab your marker and start marking things out. On the outer edges of the plastic, you're only going to cut a little bit of material off. You can see where the staples used to be, and you need to leave those there so that you can be able to staple your new cover back into it. Then go ahead and mark out your back of your seat, roughly about how I do. I kind of just went a little bit past the edge of the fuel tank to get my length there, and this is what it ended up being. So just kind of eyeball it, make it look nice. That's what I did. After that, go ahead and separate your seat from the base. This one was glued together because of being done before, and yours should just kind of come apart. After that, go ahead and start cutting with your jigsaw or whatever saw you might have. Just be patient and try to do a good job. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight right now. Just try to get it somewhat straight so you don't mess it up. And then you can go ahead and go back afterwards and use your grinder to clean up the edges and make them straight.
As you begin using your grinder, just kind of clean up the edges a little bit. Don't hit it too hard with the grinder. This is just using a metal grinding disc, and if you leave it on there too long, then it's going to melt the plastic and gum up that disc. So you don't want to hit it too hard, but just go ahead and kind of go around hitting it here and there, and just don't leave it on there and cause it to heat up too much, and you should be fine. Take your time with this. This is going to be kind of the overall rough shape of what you're after. Again, watch and be careful that you don't grind too much on the outer edges, the side edges of the seat, so that you can leave a spot for the seat foam to kind of touch against, but then as well as allow that cover to wrap under and go inside the grooves there so it holds solid. Use a razor of some sort. You don't need to cut like you're carving, just kind of put the blade straight at a 90 degree to the plastic and just run it along there, and if it's a sharp knife, it should just kind of shave off the edges that you left. You can then use your electric knife and start carving away at the seat. I kind of just drew a rough outline of what I wanted the seat to look like. Approximately tapered on the edges with a marker from the back, marked down probably 2 inches or so, and then just tapered it so that the top portion of the seat was roughly a rectangle, so to speak, and then I just trimmed off the sides. Remember to leave enough material on the sides so that when you go to put your cover back on, you don't end up having your seat base itself stick out past the foam. You want the foam to be able, when you tighten that seat cover down, you want the foam to be able to kind of wrap over a little bit the edges of the seat base so it makes it nice and smooth and there's no sharp edges kind of pushing against that cover. Go ahead and begin using the grinder. Just be prepared when you use the grinder. I'm just using the metal disc again for this. It's the same one I used for the base. And as you hit that seat foam, it's going to be extremely grabby, so just make sure that you have a tight hold on the grinder that doesn't get ripped out of your hand, and go ahead and just lightly hit it here and there, and take your time. You can see that this is will take quite a while to get this all smoothed out. I'm just hitting the high spots right now, going back and forth, making sure that I hit them really good. Kind of knock them down so that it's all fairly smooth and even. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth at this point. We'll go ahead and hit that a little bit later. You'll notice as you hit the grinder against the seat foam that it's going to kind of cause it to jerk back towards you, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. When you go to start smoothing things out, you want to just kind of hit it, just bump that grinder against the foam and allow it to carry itself back so that you're not taking off a lot of material at a time. And as it just kind of drags itself back across the seat, it's going to happen pretty quick, so just be ready. But as it does that, it's going to cause a nice smooth finish to be had, a lot smoother than if you try to hold it in one spot and grind like you would say metal. It's just not going to work very good that way, so keep that in mind. Once I kind of created the rough design of my seat, with a marker drew it all out and stuff. I kind of just eyeballed it, so there's not really any particular way on being able to get the exact shape that you want when you're doing it by hand like this. And so I just kind of eyeballed it and made it the shape that I actually wanted. Tried to make it uniform on both sides, tried to make my taper and then the rounded part of the back of the seat so that it looked nice, so it looks professional. I'm sure that there are people that can do it way better than I can, but this was one of my first, and I did my best, and I'm very happy with the outcome. As you can see, this is kind of where I'm just hitting it and letting it drag itself back across the seat. It takes a little bit of time. You can do it all the way around the seat, on the back edge, on the sides, on the top. Try to just let it hit it and drag itself across. You'll understand what I'm talking about as you do it, and you'll notice how much smoother it makes that top. It just makes it more uniform all the way across. It knocks down the high spots, drags itself across so that it doesn't pull off too much material, and it turns out to be fairly nice, really. I'm pretty happy. And here's the finished product right here. They came out really nice. My second, or I guess in this case my third one, but the second one that doesn't have a cover right now, came out to be really close to the other one, and now I'm just going to send them off. I'm dealing with Motoseat on my seat covers. I'm going to ship them off. They're going to get them done for me. Look at this seat. I just got it back from Motoseat. And gosh, they do a nice job with their covers. This is a fairly inexpensive cover. I sent the seat off to them and had them just recover it for me. You can either do the same, or they did make a template for these seats, but that's not to say that everybody's gonna make theirs the exact same dimensions, so it may not hurt. But as you can see, they've got it all stapled down and everything. Everything's nice and smooth. There's no sharp edges of plastic underneath there. Here's the back edge of the seat when it's all done. You can't see those little circle cutouts I was talking about before. As it sits, it's not gonna look quite as nice on the back as what the factory seat does, but when it sits against the tank, that's essentially how it's gonna be. I am extremely happy with how these seats turned out. Alright everybody, that essentially concludes the video on cutting down your own seat. A little bit of tips, a little bit of tricks in there for getting it taken care of, getting it accomplished. Again, it's not rocket science, it just takes a little bit of time, takes a few tools, not very much, and you have a really nice professional finished product at the end, especially if you end up getting a seat cover from like Motoseat. They do an excellent job, very happy with the turnout. Hopefully the video helps. Like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.